Hey guys, so welcome back to the channel. So we're going to be checking out this video and it's titled Why No Military on Earth Could Survive Invading United States. And I'm asking why, and I really want to know. So I'm just getting across this video for the first time. So if you're just seeing me for the first time, please like this video, subscribe and share. Let's check out these videos together.
Picture every country as a medieval castle, complete with towering walls, secret traps, and all sorts of defenses to protect the crown. In this scenario, the United States stands out as the toughest castle in the world. So, when someone asks, what would it really take to invade the United States? It opens up a fascinating conversation about how geography, demographics, and military strength come together to make the U.S. one of the hardest countries to invade in modern history. But to understand why invading America is so difficult, we need to start with what makes invasions successful in the first place. Military historians point to several key factors: the element of surprise, manageable supply lines, and, crucially, the ability to establish a foothold and expand from there. It just so happens that America's unique geographic position eliminates almost every advantage that has made invasions in the past possible. Let's start with the most obvious barrier: the oceans. The United States sits between two of the world's largest bodies of water. The Atlantic Ocean stretches roughly 3,000 miles to Europe, while the Pacific spans an even more formidable 5,000 miles to Asia. But it's not just about distance, it's about what that distance means for a would-be invader. You see, modern naval warfare depends heavily on supply chains, fuel, and the ability to maintain communication across vast distances. Any naval force attempting to cross either ocean to invade America would be operating at the extreme limits of its logistical capabilities. Consider this: the D-Day invasion, one of the most successful amphibious assaults in history, involved crossing just 100 miles of the English Channel. Roughly speaking, it required approximately 156,000 Allied troops, around 5,000 ships, and months of preparation, all supported by established bases in Britain. Now imagine scaling that operation across 3,000 to 5,000 miles of open ocean, with no friendly territory to stage from. The logistics behind such an invasion become even more daunting when you consider detection. Modern satellite surveillance, radar networks, and maritime patrol aircraft make it virtually impossible to move large naval forces without anybody noticing. Any invasion fleet would be spotted days, if not weeks, before reaching American shores, giving U.S. forces more than enough time to prepare defensive positions. But what about launching an invasion from neighboring countries? After all, the United States shares borders with Canada and Mexico. Surely that creates vulnerability, right? Unfortunately for any invader, they're deeply integrated into American military and economic systems. Canada is a NATO member and one of America's closest security partners. Mexico, while not in NATO, has extensive military cooperation agreements with the U.S. and depends heavily on American trade. For any hostile nation to use these countries as invasion routes, they would first need to conquer or coerce them. In other words, they would essentially have to launch two separate military campaigns before even reaching American territory. This would require force projections of unprecedented scale and would trigger immediate American response. But let's imagine, hypothetically, that all of that somehow became possible. Even then, the geographic challenges are staggering. An invasion from the north would have to cross the Canadian Shield, a massive area of rocky terrain and forests, then navigate the Great Lakes region. The U.S. military could easily cut supply lines by controlling key transportation hubs like Winnipeg or Thunder Bay, effectively isolating any northern advance. From the south, invaders would face a large concentration of American military power. Recent deployments have placed thousands of American troops along the Mexican border. Any large-scale military movement would once again be detected immediately, and the attacking force would have to advance through some of the most challenging terrain in North America, including the Sonoran and Chihuahuan deserts. But here's where America's defensive advantages become even more pronounced. Let's say the invading force somehow established a foothold on American soil. They would immediately confront what you could call a natural defensive line. The United States is essentially divided by a series of geographic barriers that would force any invading army to fight for every mile of advance. The Rocky Mountain chain runs like a spine through the western part of the country, creating natural choke points that favor America. The Mississippi River system divides the country into distinct regions, each requiring separate river crossings under fire. Military history shows us how devastating river crossings can be. During the Civil War, battles like Fredericksburg and Antietam demonstrated the enormous casualties that result from forced river crossings against prepared defenses. Now imagine attempting such crossings against modern military technology, precision artillery, air support, and guided munitions, all directed by satellite surveillance and real-time intelligence. There is absolutely no shot of sustaining an invasion in this case. But perhaps America's most unique defensive advantage is its civilian population, specifically its relationship with firearms. The United States has the highest rate of civilian gun ownership in the world, with 120.5 firearms for every 100 civilians. To put that into perspective, Switzerland only has 27.58 firearms for every 100 civilians. This creates a scenario that military planners would probably call a strategic nightmare. It's one thing to defeat a conventional army. It's different to occupy a territory where a significant portion of the civilian population is armed and more than likely hostile. History provides sobering examples of what this looks like. The Soviets in Afghanistan, the Americans in Iraq, and various other occupations throughout the 20th century demonstrate that even the world's most powerful militaries struggle against determined civilian resistance. About 72% of American gun owners cite protection as their primary reason for ownership, suggesting a population already mentally prepared for defensive scenarios. Then there's the simple matter of scale. The United States covers approximately 3.7 million square miles, making it the third largest country in the world by land area. It is larger than Australia, which has an area of about 2.9 million square miles. The US is more than twice the size of the European Union, which covers around 1.7 million square miles. Additionally, the US is roughly comparable in size to the entire continent of Europe, which has an area of about 3.9 million square miles. The distances involved are shocking from a military perspective. The distance from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles is about 2,700 miles. In order to sustain any kind of invasion on America, the occupying force would need to maintain supply lines across these vast distances, while facing constant harassment from both organized military resistance and civilian populations. Modern military thinking focuses on quick and decisive actions, because long campaigns can get really expensive and hard to manage. Given the vast size of the United States, pulling off a rapid takeover is pretty much impossible, and keeping troops in place for a long time would cost a fortune. Consider the economic cost for America during the Iraq and Afghanistan campaigns. Both campaigns involved far smaller territories and populations, but still cost the United States trillions of dollars over 2 decades. The scale required to occupy a territory the size of America would dwarf these figures by orders of magnitude. Of course, there's one last factor: nuclear weapons. The United States maintains one of the world's largest nuclear arsenals, and American nuclear doctrine makes it clear that existential threats to the homeland would likely trigger nuclear response. This creates what is also known as mutually assured destruction. Any conventional invasion large enough to threaten American territory would likely escalate to nuclear conflict long before achieving its objectives. This reality fundamentally changes the calculus for any potential adversary that is thinking about invading America. So, to return to our original question, what would it really take to invade the United States? The answer to that question reveals why no serious military strategist considers a conventional invasion of America a viable option. It simply just wouldn't be worth it. But what do you think? Where do you think America stacks up in terms of national defense?
Oh my god, like for real, I never knew these things. Okay, so when I got this video, I'm like, okay, let's check it out together. And true, it's very hard to invade the United States, because before you come into United States, you have to go through Mexico, and then you have to go through Canada. So which of this country is ready to open their border, is ready to open their space for you to penetrate US? So it's really not easy, because before you come, when it comes to the oceans, they are very, very tight when it comes to the ocean. And now US is actually blessed with what we call natural disaster, such as mountains. So the mountains also make it so hard for the invaders to also invade. And now they actually spoke about self-defense from uncivilized people around has their own personal guns for self-defense. So when you are invading the country, you are not just invading the country alone, you are invading the civilians that also have access to guns. So they also have access to guns. So it's not like you're coming into the country, you're opening fire. You're opening fire to people that are going to open fire to you, people that have access to guns to defend themselves. So this is actually so hard. It's so hard for you to invade the US. And that is why the US actually still stand as one of the strongest country to be able to invade. And this have actually answered our question. But if you have more question, if you have more answer to this video we've watched, let us know in the comment section. That is the place where we can discuss together. Throw in your questions on the comment section, throw in your answers there too, because I really want to know if there's also a way, because currently the neutral bomb like US still stand one of the strongest country in the whole world. Let me know your thoughts on the comment section. Thank you so much. I'll see you on my next one.